For 3 long, terrifying nights, Jide lay among the graves, listening to the wind howl and feeling the cold chill of the spirits around him. Shadows danced in the moonlight, and the air was thick with dread. Each night felt like an eternity, but Jide endured it, driven by his desperation to regain his lost fortune. In the small village of Udoma, there lived a young man named Jide, known far and wide for his extraordinary wealth as a fisherman. Jide's house was the most beautiful in the village, with tall walls painted in bright colors and a roof that glistened under the sun. Villagers often stopped to admire its beauty, whispering among themselves about the young man who lived there. Despite his riches, Jide had never married and had no children. Many young women in the village were attracted to him, drawn by his charm and wealth, but Jide remained single. He would often sit on the porch of his grand house, watching the sunset while listening to the laughter of children playing in the streets. Sometimes, he would wonder why he had not settled down. Perhaps it was the mysterious allure of the sea that captivated him more than the idea of marriage. Jide owned a large canoe, sturdy and well-crafted, which he used for fishing. Every morning before the sun rose, he would set out into the vast waters, his heart filled with anticipation. Within just a few hours, he would return with nets overflowing with fish, shimmering in the sunlight like jewels. Jide was known as the best fisherman in the village and beyond. He supplied not only the village market but also neighboring villages, ensuring his wealth grew day by day. However, Jide's success brought with it a cloud of suspicion. Other fishermen, who toiled for hours and returned with little to show for their efforts, began to grumble about him. They would gather at the riverbank, pointing fingers and whispering tales of dark magic and secret rituals. He must be using witchcraft, one would say, while another added, I heard he sacrificed his parents for this fortune. These rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by jealousy and disbelief. Jide, however, paid little attention to the gossip. He knew that his success came from a source unknown to others, a secret that he kept close to his heart. Each time he cast his net into the water, he felt a deep connection to the river, as if it were whispering ancient secrets to him. The other fishermen could not understand why their nets came back empty while Jide's overflowed with fish. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Jide sat on his porch, gazing out at the shimmering water. He could hear the villagers' laughter and the sound of their voices carrying through the air. But he also heard the whispers of jealousy, echoing in his mind. Why don't they see me for who I am? Just a fisherman, like them, he thought. As the days turned into weeks, the rumors persisted. Some villagers even dared to confront Jide, asking him how he could catch so many fish. He would smile and reply, it's just hard work and a little luck. But deep down, he knew it was more than that. He had a connection to something greater, something that gave him the power to succeed where others failed. As time passed in the village of Udoma, Jide's reputation as the wealthiest fisherman grew even stronger. With his massive catch and the envy of his peers, he decided to sell a special kind of fishing net he called the miracle net. He claimed it was the secret behind his extraordinary success, a magical tool that could bring in fish by the thousands. Word quickly spread throughout the village about the miracle net, and eager fishermen flocked to Jide's home to purchase it. However, Jide set a high price for this miraculous fishing gear, which only a few could afford. The villagers were divided. Those who could buy the net were soon reeling in large catches and enjoying newfound wealth, while the poorer fishermen could only watch in frustration and anger of not able to afford it. One such fisherman was Michael, Jide's longtime friend. Unlike many others, Michael prided himself on his hard work and traditional fishing methods. I won't fall for Jide's tricks, he often declared. Magic nets won't catch more fish than hard work. But as days turned into weeks, Michael's stubbornness began to wane. Despite his best efforts, Michael's fishing trips yielded little. His nets came back empty more often than not, and the whispers of the villagers grew louder. Look at Michael, they sneered. Too proud to buy the miracle net. No wonder his wife is so angry. Michael's wife, Peace, was increasingly frustrated. She watched their neighbors prosper, and each day she confronted Michael about their financial struggles. You have to do something, Michael. I can't keep living like this, she said one afternoon, throwing her hands up in exasperation. If you don't get the miracle net, I swear I will leave you. I regret marrying a poor fisherman. Michael felt cornered. He loved peace deeply, but he also didn't want to compromise his beliefs. The pressure mounted until one fateful evening, he finally caved. Alright, I'll buy the net, he sighed, defeated. The next day, Michael gathered his savings and rushed to Jide's house. I'd like to buy the miracle net, he said, a mix of determination and reluctance in his voice. Jide smiled, handing over the net with a hint of triumph. Welcome to the world of true fishing, my friend, he proclaimed, as Michael walked away with the heavy net slung over his shoulder. Back at the river, Michael was anxious yet hopeful. He cast the miracle net into the water, and within moments, it began to pull heavy with fish. He could hardly believe his eyes. The catch was incredible, far more than he had ever caught with his old nets. As the days turned into weeks, Michael's fortunes changed. He became one of the richest fishermen in the village, earning respect from those who once mocked him. But every evening, as he counted his fish, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The other fishermen had transformed overnight, their old ways abandoned for a shortcut to wealth. However, deep down, he feared he had made a deal with the devil. While he had gained riches, he felt a growing distance from his old life, from the days when he caught fish with hard work and camaraderie. Little did he know, this choice would lead him down a path filled with unforeseen consequences. And in the back of his mind, he could hear Peace's voice, demanding more and more. Would the miracle net satisfy her, or would it only deepen the void that had begun to grow between them? A few months passed, and the village of Udoma transformed into a bustling hub of wealth. Fishermen from surrounding villages flocked to Udoma, drawn by the abundance of fish and the riches that came with it, including traders and buyers always comes to Udoma to purchase fish. Jide, with his miracle nets and skills, had played a crucial role in this prosperity. His house stood tall and proud, a testament to his success. One fateful day, after selling his fish at the market, Jide was packing up to leave when he noticed a young woman stumbling toward him. Her clothes were tattered, and she looked pale and weak. As she approached, Jide saw that she had been robbed, her bag was missing, and her face was filled with distress. "Are you alright?" Jide asked, concern etched on his face. I was on my way to the market, she gasped, but some thieves attacked me. I managed to escape, but they took everything. Without hesitation, Jide knelt beside her, offering his support. "Let me help you. You look like you need medical attention." He quickly took her to his home, calling for the village herbalist to treat her wounds. Days passed, and slowly, the woman regained her strength. Jide was captivated by her resilience and beauty. "Thank you for saving me," she said one day, her voice stronger. "I'm Esther. I owe you my life." As she recovered, Jide found himself spending more and more time with Esther. He couldn't help but feel a connection with her. "Stay a little longer," he said one afternoon, a hopeful glint in his eyes. "I want to make sure you are truly well before you go back to your village." Esther smiled, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "I'd like that." As the days went by, word spread in the market about Jide's generous heart and the young woman he had saved. Villagers from all around came to Udoma not only for the abundant fish but also to witness the kindness of the rich fisherman. They spoke in awe of Jide's success and the beauty of the woman he had rescued. One day, while walking through the bustling market, Jide and Esther encountered many villagers. Some greeted them with friendly smiles, while others whispered enviously. As they made their way back to his house, the atmosphere shifted. Esther noticed a group of men eyeing them suspiciously. "Don't mind them," Jide reassured her, but Esther couldn't shake the feeling of unease. As they returned home, tragedy struck again. A group of thieves emerged from the shadows, snatching Esther's bag filled with the few possessions she had left. "No!" Jide shouted, rushing after them. His heart raced as he chased the robbers through the narrow streets. With every ounce of strength, he pushed himself forward, determined to protect her. After a short but intense pursuit, Jide managed to grab one of the thieves by the arm, causing him to drop the bag. The other thief fled, and Jide turned to Esther, who looked both relieved and shaken. "Are you alright?" he asked, concern flooding his voice. "I am now, thanks to you," she said, her eyes wide with admiration. Days turned into weeks, and Jide's feelings for Esther deepened. But as he watched her laugh and move about his home, a nagging thought crept into his mind. That he wouldn't be able to marry or have children. He could provide a good life for a family, yet he had never dared to pursue one. One evening, lost in his thoughts and fueled by the weight of his loneliness, Jide poured himself a drink. The alcohol coursed through him like a warm wave, washing away his worries, if only for a moment. "Jide, are you alright?" Esther asked, concern lining her features. "I'm fine," he replied, slurring slightly. "Just thinking about life, and how unfair it is." Esther moved closer, her hand resting on his arm. "You're a good man, Jide. Don't let anything hold you back." As the night wore on, Jide's heart raced. With the warmth of the drink and Esther's closeness, he found himself drawn to her in a way he had never experienced before. The moment felt electric. Before he knew it, he had pulled her close, whispering, "I love you." Before she could respond, the heat of passion took over, and they shared a moment that would change everything, and Jide slept with her. Jide awoke the next morning, confusion clouding his mind. His heart sank as he pieced together the events of the previous night. "What have I done?" he whispered to himself in horror. He remembered the rules of the mermaid, rules he had never intended to break. "Esther, you need to leave," he said sharply when he found her in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The panic and anger in his voice startled her. "Jide, what's wrong?" she asked, confusion etched across her face. I can't have you here anymore," he stammered, fear gripping him. The realization that he had jeopardized his wealth and the life he had built for himself struck him like a thunderbolt. Esther's face fell, heart flickering in her eyes. "But Jide, I thought..." "Just go," he shouted, his voice echoing in the silence of the house. As she gathered her things, Jide's heart raced with regret. The reality of his actions weighed heavily on him, and he knew he had broken the mermaid's sacred rules. He felt the loss of his fortune looming over him like a storm cloud. After Esther left, Jide felt an emptiness settle in his heart, a hollow space that echoed with the weight of his regret. He wandered aimlessly through his beautifully crafted house, but it felt cold and unwelcoming without her laughter. Desperate to regain some semblance of control, he made his way to a secret room deep within his home. This room held the source of his miraculous success, a pot where he soaked the nets he sold as the miracle net. As Jide approached the door, a wave of unease washed over him. Something didn't feel right. With trembling hands, he opened the door and stepped inside, only to find that the pot was gone. Panic surged through him, and he scanned the room for any sign of it. Suddenly, a booming voice filled the air, vibrating through the walls. "Jide, you broke my promise. You have forsaken our agreement, and now I will take back all the wealth and power I gave you. I told you not to get married or sleep with any woman." Jide fell to his knees, his heart racing. "Please. No. I didn't mean to break the rules. You will never catch fish again," the voice thundered, cutting him off. "You will return to poverty, and all that you have will be lost." The room fell silent, and a chill enveloped Jide. He felt as if the ground had been ripped from beneath him. Fear gripped him tightly as he scrambled to his feet, racing out of the secret room and into the light of day. Days passed, and Jide's worst fears began to materialize. Fishermen from all over Udoma, including those who had bought his miracle nets, were starting to notice something terrible. The nets no longer caught even a single fish. The once bustling market became a sea of discontent. Jide watched helplessly as his former customers grew angrier by the day. Some fishermen marched up to him, their faces twisted with rage. "Jide," one man shouted, shaking the miracle net in his hands. "This thing doesn't work anymore. Give us back our money." Another fisherman chimed in, "You deceived us. You've ruined our lives." Shame flooded Jide's cheeks as he listened to the accusations. He felt like a shadow of the man he once was. The wealth and power that had surrounded him began to slip away like grains of sand through his fingers. The fear of becoming poor again clawed at him, reminding him of the struggles he had once faced. One fateful day, as he walked through the village, the whispers of the villagers echoed in his ears. They spoke in hushed tones, casting wary glances his way. "Jide, the rich fisherman, has fallen," they murmured. "What a shame." Desperate for a solution, Jide made a bold decision. He would seek help from the most powerful witch in the village, a woman known for her knowledge of dark magic. If anyone could help him regain his fortunes, it was her. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jide set off toward the witch's dwelling, a small hut hidden in the shadows of the village. He steeled himself for what lay ahead, determined to do whatever it took to reclaim his life. As he approached the hut, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. He knocked on the door, his heart pounding with anxiety. Would she be able to help him? Would she even want to? The door creaked open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, her eyes glinting like stars in the night sky. "What do you seek, Jide?" she asked, her voice smooth yet commanding. "I need your help," he replied, his voice trembling. "I've lost everything, and I can't catch fish anymore. Please, I would do anything." The witch studied him for a moment, a faint smile playing on her lips. "You seek power again, but power comes with a price. Are you willing to pay?" Jide swallowed hard, knowing that he was ready to risk everything. "Yes, whatever it takes." The witch nodded slowly, her eyes narrowing. "Very well. We shall make a deal, but be warned, not all bargains are as they seem." The witch, with her dark, mysterious eyes, handed Jide a task unlike any other. "If you wish to be fortified for the battle with the mermaid," she said, her voice cold and firm, "you must sleep in the graveyard for 3 nights. Only then will you have the strength to face her." Jide's heart sank at the thought. The graveyard was a place of fear, where the spirits of the dead roamed, and the village children whispered of strange happenings. But Jide had no choice. His wealth was gone, his power fading, and the only way to reclaim it was through the dark path the witch had laid out for him. For 3 long, terrifying nights, Jide lay among the graves, listening to the wind howl and feeling the cold chill of the spirits around him. Shadows danced in the moonlight, and the air was thick with dread. Each night felt like an eternity, but Jide endured it, driven by his desperation to regain his lost fortune. After completing the task, the witch appeared once again, this time with a sinister smile. "You have proven your will, Jide. Now, take this charm," she said, handing him a small object wrapped in black cloth. "Go to the river where you first made your pact with the mermaid. When you get there, pour this white liquid into the water. The mermaid will come out to confront you. If you destroy her, your wealth will return." Jide took the charm, his hands trembling. The river had once been a place of power for him, where he had gained his supernatural abilities. But now it was a place of fear, where the mermaid, the source of his strength, awaited his betrayal. With determination, he made his way to the river at dusk. The waters were calm, reflecting the fading sunlight, but an eerie stillness hung in the air. Jide's heart raced as he poured the white liquid into the river, just as the witch had instructed. The liquid spread across the surface, rippling outward, and the sky seemed to darken. Suddenly, the water churned violently, and from the depths, the mermaid emerged. Her eyes were cold, filled with rage. "Jide," she hissed, her voice echoing across the river. "You dare betray me after all I've given you?" Without a word, Jide held up the charm, his last hope. The battle began. The mermaid lashed out with waves of magic, sending whirlpools crashing toward him. Jide countered with the magic from the charm, but it was clear he was no match for her. The mermaid's power was immense, and she toyed with him as if he were a mere fish caught in her net. Just when Jide thought all was lost, the witch appeared beside him, her dark robes swirling in the wind. Together, they launched a final assault on the mermaid, their combined magic crackling in the air. For a moment, it seemed like victory was within reach. The mermaid faltered, her strength weakening. But before they could land the final blow, the water erupted once more. From the depths of the river rose a towering figure, the queen of the mermaids, more powerful and fearsome than anything Jide had ever imagined. Her presence was overwhelming, her magic beyond comprehension. With a single wave of her hand, the queen unleashed a torrent of power that engulfed both Jide and the witch. The battle was over in an instant. Jide felt himself being torn apart, his body and soul consumed by the fury of the mermaid queen. Days passed, and the villagers of Udoma whispered among themselves, wondering what had become of Jide. He had vanished without a trace, his once mighty house now abandoned. Some said he had been taken by the spirits, others claimed the mermaid had dragged him into the river's depths. But no one truly knew. The once prosperous village of Udoma, known for its wealth of fish and rich fishermen, began to change. Without Jide's miraculous nets, the fishermen struggled. The river, once teeming with life, grew quieter. Fish became scarce, and the village market, once bustling with trade, fell into decline.